So I think looking at some examples might make it a little bit easier to understand that funding process. And these examples are in that document that I attached. So for example, this is a property poor district, which means that maybe their appraisal values on their home are a little bit lower, and they're not collecting as much income or revenue as maybe they need to educate that student populace. So again, they're going to come up with that adjusted allotment. So that's that base of about 5,100, and then they're going to add some of those multipliers like mid-sized district, your cost of education index, etc. So based on that average daily attendance, they're looking at how many students are in each one of these programs. So for this particular district, they have 42,000 students in the regular program. So you'll notice that it's just going to be that one-way multiplier. So it's that 42,000 times this amount. Now we've got 2,100 in mainstream special ed, and then these types of special eds. And so you'll notice the types of multipliers that each one receives. Then you've got career and tech, compensatory ed, gifted and talented, bilingual. You get an extra stipend for high school students. And so they're going to break down what types of students that they have. Now, some of these may fall in two different categories. So you might have gifted and also counted in regular, and then some are not. And so they're going to add all that together. And so the state decides how much it's going to cost to educate the kids in your school district. And so they've come up with it's going to cost around $360 million to educate your students. What the school district was able to raise is 160 million. So they need 200 million to really to educate their kids. So where does that come from? That comes from the state. So the state will make up that 200 million. When you look at, there's a whole bunch of other kind of complicated things that we're not going to go over. So that state is going to have to shore up that remaining needed income. Now, if we look at a property wealthy district, we're going to do the same thing. So you'll notice that they have a slightly different adjusted allotment. And again, it's based on all those factors. They're going to do the same thing by breaking down those students. So it's going to cost this district $29 million to educate their kids, but through their property tax dollars, they were able to raise $64 million. So that means they have $35 million more than what they need. That's going to be recaptured by the state. That's why we call it Chapter 41, or we call it Robin Hood, because we're taking from the rich to give to the poor. And so $35 million is going to be given to the state from those local property tax dollars, and that's what the state is going to use to redistribute it to the property poor districts like this one who needed that $200 million of extra revenue. And so at the bottom of this document, you'll see how many districts are considered Chapter 41 districts, meaning that they're giving income back to the state. And you can see how much income they're actually giving back to the state on a yearly basis.